Transmitting from the Mojave Wilderness in Joshua Tree, California, now is the time for Desert Oracle Radio, the voice of the desert.
I don't know if you saw the news on Saturday, but it has been revealed that the United States Department of Defense has, for many years, run a secret black budget UFO research program out of the Pentagon. It was the big news on Saturday, the big news in the New York Times. I have often wondered what it would be like when the U.S. government confirmed that unidentified aerial phenomena were real. And here we are. Our friend Jeremy Kenyon-Lockyer Corbell, the documentary filmmaker at extraordinarybeliefs.com, has just returned to Pioneer Town from the mysterious Utah ranch mentioned in that New York Times article. Jeremy, let's get right to it. What we have long known is real is now officially real.
There is an active UFO program within the United States government, well-funded by the black budgets. Now, Dana White, who's the Pentagon spokeswoman, she confirmed the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program. She claimed it ended in 2012. I personally know that to be untrue, and I think that information will be coming out soon.
You are just back in Pioneer Town from where?
Skinwalkwer Ranch.
Now that is very convenient, Jeremy. What were you doing at Skinwalkwer Ranch?
So Skinwalkwer Ranch, as we've talked about before on your show, is this location that is known as one of the many global hotspots for anomalous activity, which includes UFOs. It used to be owned by Robert Bigelow. It is under new ownership, and this last trip out there was tectonic.
Now, the New York Times mentions the Utah ranch that Bigelow owns. Has he passed ownership on to another organization or as an individual?
In fact, yeah, Bigelow did sell the ranch. This is public information if people look. He did sell the ranch, but the new owner wishes to remain anonymous at this time, and there's no way for people, the public in general, to find out specifically who it is. I don't think that's the most important part. However...
Did you buy Skinwalkwer Ranch, Jeremy?
You know what? I was on the cusp of throwing down to be part owner. I mean, what an opportunity.
Good Lord. Yeah, that'd be the Airbnb from hell.
That would literally be the Airbnb from hell. However, there needs to be security at the ranch, not just because of the reported phenomenon, but also just because people are trespassing, and that's an area of the world, like out here in Pioneer Town, where you're going to be on the wrong end of a shotgun if you start trespassing. This is indeed cattle country, and people take their privacy very seriously. Skinwalkwer Ranch is a privately owned location, and people may not go there unless invited. We've been doing this work out there for quite some time. I'm following in the footsteps and with George Knapp, who has really laid the foundation for 20 years to be able to report on this. And with the sale of the ranch from Bigelow, we're able to now open this story wide. Our number one goal was to work with current law enforcement, the tribal police, because the reports of phenomenon that occur all around the Uinta Basin, not just the ranch, are so spectacular. We figured a good angle to understand this was to speak with the law enforcement that needed and needs to respond to these events seriously. But for me, the biggest thing about this trip was to finally peel back a layer, and that was to speak with long-term residents, people who lived out there in that area surrounding the ranch, because the ranch is just the most studied area. The entire Uinta Basin is subject to high activity. So talking with people who have lived out there for 30 years or more, this was the most emotional part of the trip. Finally, I got to sit down with somebody I had been speaking with for months and get her on camera. Her experiences mirror the experiences that are reported in George Knapp's and Colin Kelleher's book called Hunt for the Skinwalker. After months of talking about these experiences in a positive light, the moment I clicked record, she had an absolute emotional meltdown. And the question they want answered is this paranormal? Is this real phenomena? Or is this some sick and twisted experiment like MKUltra by the United States government? She wants to know. Skinwalkwer Ranch, it's in the Uinta Basin. The Uinta Basin is a sovereign nation by the Ute tribe. One of the areas of high activity, Bottle Hollow, it's an area where there's lots of reports, and that's where we were actually allowed, with permits for the first time ever being given out, media permits, to film and to camp in that area. On this last trip, we actually were the first ever to get permits again to film and to spend time at a place called Dark Canyon. Dark Canyon is the mouth, kind of where the water flows down through towards the area of Skinwalkwer Ranch. So they say that the path of the skinwalker, like any animal, follows that stream or follows that water. So up where we were in Dark Canyon was known to be more of the home of the skinwalker, which was terribly frightening being out there at midnight.
All right, you sent me some pictures from the ranch during your recent trip. One, you're in a pasture or field pointing at what looks like a drainage canal, or I'm not quite sure what it was, but you said this is the center of the recent activity. What was that picture of, and what's going on there?
That's just a river that basically runs through Skinwalkwer Ranch. There was a particular area right before Homestead 2. That is an area that is described in the book that George Knapp and Colin Kelleher wrote, where some of the scientists were there and they saw what looked like a geometric porthole that opened up and a creature climbed out of it. Additionally, it's where the original owner of the ranch, when this all started going down, saw the sky split open on multiple occasions, showing a different reality on the other side of that sky, and craft flying out. So that photo was essentially showing this path where some of the highest activity occur. I mean, remember, another person mentioned in these articles, it's very important, is the first American to orbit the Earth. It's former Senator John Glenn. So John Glenn had experiences that he reported to Senator Harry Reid that was also part of the push to take this seriously. And let's just quote Lou Elizondo again here in one of the articles. You know, he makes the point, if a Russian bear bomber comes in near California, it is all over the news. These are coming in the skies over our facilities, nothing but crickets. So his point is that when you have these AAVs, or anomalous aerial vehicles, flying saucers coming over nuclear facilities and shutting down, for example, 10 Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missiles like they did when Robert Salas was in command of those missiles, when you have missiles shut down by UFOs, this is an aspect of national security that requires our funding and our attention. These events, they are occurring and have been occurring ever since we've been watching.
We're bombarded by so much information on a daily basis in the news cycle that it was easy to miss that the Pentagon and the New York Times and the former leader of the U.S. Senate were all declaring on the record that we are not alone, UFOs are real.
That is precisely what was said yesterday. It is a message that is yet to have really sunk in. It's going to get much stranger. There's a great mind in this field named Jacques Vallee. Jacques Vallee was a participant in creating the ETH, the extraterrestrial hypothesis. He abandoned this hypothesis all the way back probably in the 1960s because he realized the data no longer supported that theory, that these craft were simply extraterrestrials visiting from other star systems. What we have learned since the 60s is that this display, this UFO display, that it is much more complex.
In the old days, we talked about these entities and these craft in the skies in terms of gods and demons. Are we going to find out that's correct?
An advanced technology seen from the perspective of an unadvanced technological society might appear magical and mystical, godlike. There is more often than not some sort of physical, psychological, and spiritual experience that people have with other entities that seem to appear biological and seem to tell a narrative that they are from somewhere else.
We have been speaking to Jeremy Corbell of ExtraordinaryBeliefs.com. Jeremy, you've got a movie out right now. Tell us about that one.
So that movie is called Patient 17, and it's about an alleged alien implant removal. It is currently on iTunes. My next film will be on Bob Lazar.
From Amboy to Zzyzx and across the Great Mojave Wilderness, this has been Desert Oracle Radio, broadcasting from KCDZ 107.7 FM in downtown Joshua Tree, all over 29 Palms, clear across Yucca Valley. Boy, you can hear it in Kelso when the air's just right. Thank you for listening. Good night from the voice of the desert.